Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Sideline, a podcast where we talk about the latest sports stories and give our opinions as fans watching our teams play from beyond the sideline. We cover the NFL, NBA, MLB, and occasionally the NHL, MMA/UFC, and boxing, as well as both college football and basketball. If you would like to be updated on when a new episode will be uploaded, you can follow my Twitter or Twitch at SepticKid24, SepticKidd24, where you can also join my Discord server through either Twitter or Twitch. And before we get started in our topics for the second episode today, I just wanted to say a few things. First of all, I can't believe I'm already recording episode 2. It was only a week since I uploaded and published the inaugural episode of the podcast, but um, there's been a lot of interesting news, stories, and developments that have gone on in week 2 of the NFL. Now we are officially starting week 3 as of recording this. It is about to be 10:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursday. Thursday Night Football just ended, um, and you guys will all be listening to this on Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is also 4 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Mountain. Um, yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it's going to take a while for this podcast to grow, but just me doing it and finally being able to do it is just really fulfilling. Like I said in the last episode, I've been wanting to do this for a couple years now, but finally being able to do it, like I said, it's fulfilling. And to bounce off of that, I know last week was a bit somber with the Aaron Rodgers injury, but I feel like I needed to come on and say something about the incident that happened at Gillette Stadium this past Sunday, where the Dolphins were in Foxborough playing the Patriots. Um, First of all, I would like to send my condolences to the Mooney family after what had occurred during that game. I won't get into the nitty gritty and all the details of what happened, as it's very unsettling, and I just want to respect the Mooney family and everyone who was involved. Um, but that I will not refer to this person as a fan of the Dolphins or the NFL as a whole, because no true fan would do such a thing. I'm sorry, but that is not what the Dolphins stand for. That is not what any NFL team stands for. That is not what the NFL as a whole stands for. But doing such a thing that would affect an entire family and the NFL as a whole, you have to do better as a person. Stuff like that has no place in this society, let alone a sports game. Like, I don't get how people can be so upset over something that doesn't even affect their lives directly, and yet they have to resort to violence. Okay, maybe there's some banter going on during the game, or maybe, oh, you're losing a bet, so you're getting mad. Why are you gonna start a fight? There's kids there. You may have your kids there. The other people may have their kids, or other family members, friends. You're representing, when you go out to support your team, you are representing your team. You're representing the NFL at that point. And that you're representing your integrity. And you think that's the best thing to do? To punch some I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm I said I wasn't gonna get into the nitty gritty. It's like I said, you can read the story yourself. I it's just it's it's sick. It's disgusting. People like that have no place in this world. But just because one apple is bad doesn't mean the entire tree is rotten. I know that the Dolphins fan base does not claim that person, nor does he represent what every other NFL fan and the NFL as a whole stands for. And I hope that man faces the consequences he deserves. Once again, my condolences go out to the Mooney family. And I also want to send my thoughts and prayers over to Travis Hunter in Colorado, who took a hard and unnecessary hit from a Colorado State player in their game against each other. And please, just like Coach Prime said in the post-game press conference, don't send hate or threats over to Henry Blackburn for the hit. He doesn't deserve any of that. All right, let's just be respectful to both sides. All we can do is hope for Travis to have a speedy recovery, and I have no doubt he will. And he will come back better and stronger and still be in the race for the Heisman. Now, with all that being said, let's get into our first topic of episode number 2. And we're also going to kind of stick with the theme of being kind of somber. Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb had a very gruesome injury in his Monday night game against the Steelers. Um, the ESPN didn't want to replay it, but I know it's already hit the internet on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. So if you would like, you can go see it for yourself. But if you are queasy with that sort of stuff, I don't recommend watching it because it is not a nice injury. Um, I hope Nick Chubb has a speedy recovery. As I know, I believe in college he tore his ACL. I don't know if it was in the same knee or not, but having a injury that bad and what happened on Monday, it's gonna be, especially with the position he plays, it's gonna be really hard to come back from. Um, he may not be the same, uh, but we can only hope for the best. But with that injury, will it hurt the Browns' chances at making the playoffs? Mm, I don't think it will hurt them, but having Nick Chubb would have helped them. Now, I think they had somewhat of a shot before the injury, but like I said, I don't think their chances truly diminished as of yesterday, I believe, the Browns re-signed Kareem Hunt to a veteran one year deal worth up to $4 million. Now, last year, he had 123 rushing attempts, 468 yards, 3 touchdowns, no fumbles, and he averaged 3.8 yards a carry, 27.5 yards per game. So obviously now he's most likely going to be the number one, and we'll see. Because I mean the numbers compared to him and Nick Chubb aren't the closest, but having Kareem Hunt will help them fill that gap that Nick Chubb left. On to our next topic. Who looks like they're going to be true contenders coming out of week 2? Now, let's start with the NFC. I think there's truly only 3 teams that we could say are a lock for the playoffs. And that's going to be the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Eagles. Now, I know some of you may say, oh, well, look at the Seahawks, the Saints, the Falcons. I don't know. with the teams they went up against, and the divisions they're in, it's really hard to say right now. You could make a case for them. You can argue, but in my opinion, the Niners, the Cowboys, and the Eagles are without a doubt making the playoffs this year. Who's going to be the number one seed? I think that's between the Niners and the Eagles. Ultimately, I think the Eagles are going to take it, even as a Niners fan. Um, they do play each other. Let me pull that up here. Their schedule. They play in Week 12, December 3rd at 1:25. It's a late game, late afternoon game, 1:25 Pacific at Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia. Um, but all of these teams have won in fashion. These three teams. They've also had uphill battles they had to win, which I think shows how much grit and grind they have. Um, that makes them this that makes them playoff caliber teams. Now the wins in fashion for the Niners, that was versus Pittsburgh, and after tonight the Giants. Pittsburgh they won 30-7. The Giants they won 30-12. Um, when they played the Giants, they were a bit off, but even then, they were still really on. I know the Giants didn't have Saquon, but you still got to go out there and do the best you can, and they did. It's just hard going up against arguably the best defense in the league. Personally, I think it is. I think without a doubt the Niners are the best defense in the league. That's not even me being biased. Uh, I mean, let's look at their defensive line for example. Tonight they had Nick Bosa on the left end. You have Eric Armstead right next to him. Jason Hargrave, um, going on he's now right next to Eric Armstead, and on the right end, you got Drake Jackson. Now Jackson had a field day against the Steelers in Week 1 in Pittsburgh, where he had 3 sacks and was the uh, sack leader that that week for his team and maybe even the entire NFL. But you take that front line out and sub in the the second team, you've still got a hell of a defensive line. You have Javon Kinlaw and Cleveland Farrell. Like who can stop that? You know? Like I said, they got some great players. Dre Greenlaw, an outside linebacker. You can put him on the line. I mean, how are you going to stop him? And you also got the best linebacker in the league, a top 10 player, Fred Warner, all pro, leading the defense. And let's say even you make it past the second level, you have to get past Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenore, and Talanoa Hufunga, and Deshaun Gibson Sr. is proving that he can get paid in this league. Deshaun Gibson, to some, may just seem like, oh, sign him on a veteran deal. Um, he's a shell of his former self. He's old, but I mean, Deshaun Gibson can play. And then you go on offense. And you got guys like Juwan Jennings, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Kyle Juszczyk, um, and then Brandon Ayuk, and now you got Ronnie Bell, seventh round pick in this past draft, the 2023 NFL draft, and he only had 2 receptions for 24 yards with a touchdown. But man, can he catch the ball? His hand-eye coordination is nuts. He's so aware and alert. This kid can run routes like it's like a 4 or 5 year pro. I think he's now officially a part of the Yak Bros that the 49ers got going on with Debo and Brandon Ayuk. You can take one of those guys out and feel safe and comfortable knowing that you got a kid in Ronnie Bell that can perform like they can. Now, like I said, he only had 2 receptions, but those 2 receptions were great. One of them was a touchdown, and the other one kept the play alive and got them the first down. I know, I know it's one game, but you got to give this kid a shot. Put him in the slot, and with Ayuk and Debo out there, run a trips route, trips play, and you got yourself an unstoppable offense. Like I said, with Kittle, Juszczyk, McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and that front offensive line, you got Brock Purdy under center, you got Trent Williams on left, Aaron Banks is doing great. It's it's unheard of. And their stats tonight, they kept the Giants to 150 total yards as opposed to their 441. They also had 300 rushing yards or 300 passing yards and 141 rushing yards, as opposed to the Giants' 121 and 29. Giants had only 3.3 yards per play, as opposed to the Niners' 5.7. The Niners also had double the amount of time of possession. Niners, I believe, had roughly 40 minutes, where the Giants only had 20 or 22. Or it says right here, actually. The Niners had 39 minutes and 10 seconds of possession, where the Giants had 20 minutes and 50 seconds. That is nearly double. I think it just goes to show that the Niners are going to be the team to beat in the NFC West and possibly in the entire, well, possibly in the entire NFC conference. Um, as for the fashion wins for the Cowboys, both of their games they won in fashion. Giants 40-0 at MetLife, and then again in MetLife against the Jets, they won 30-10. Um, it's their offense is doing pretty solid. I don't think they don't have the pieces that the Niners have. Not even what the Eagles have. But and not their defense is solid though. I think their defense is going to win them games. As we can see. I mean, they have now accumulated 70 points to their opponents' 10, and that 10 came from one team. Stephon Gilmore, you have Leighton Vander Esch. Um, but now, earlier today, I got word and saw the news that Trayvon Diggs, their star cornerback, tore his ACL in practice and is now out for the season. And I think that is really going to hurt them. And they, waived or they, didn't re-sign their cornerback Anthony Brown, and he was picked up by the Niners this week. Um, so the Cowboys, are only shooting themselves in the foot. Um, Now you got to wonder how they're going to fare going up against the Eagles offense or the Niners offense now that they don't have their star defensive player holding down that third line in the backfield or in the front field. And as for the Eagles fashion win is what we'll call it, the Vikings. It was a pretty close game, that Thursday night game, but I mean, hey, it's like great. I don't really have much to say. It's the Eagles. They were playing Kirk Cousins in prime time, and we all know how Kirk Cousins does in prime time. I can actually look up his record. Um, he went 2-2 in primetime games during 2019, 1-1 in 2020. He went 2-2 in 2021. But he lost 9 of the 16 primetime games since being on the Vikings. But his performance is not good in primetime. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a curse, but he just doesn't perform well. Now for their uphill battles. Cowboys obviously haven't had any uphill battles, but the Niners versus LA, that was a closer game than I would have thought. I know it's the Rams, but the Niners versus the Rams has it's either really close or it's uh, a blowout. There's really no like average game. Like you're not gonna see them win by like 10 or 14. It's either 7 or less or like 21 or more. You know they the Rams gave the Niners a scare. That was kind of their wake up call. Like the Rams are good this year. We're gonna have to really focus on the division. Um, those division wins are gonna be key in the NFC West. And as for the Eagles, it's got to be that Patriots game in Week 1. The Eagles were up 16-0 at the end of the first quarter. It was in 16-14 at halftime. And by the end of the game, it was 25-20. Patriots gave the Eagles a run for their money. They were within 2. But as the Eagles, you can't let the Patriots get that close when you're up that much. It's it's not how you want to win. I wouldn't be proud of that win. Sure, you fought back and you won, but you shouldn't have to fight back to maintain a lead when you've already gained a considerable one. You gained a lead of that stature, 16-0. You just keep riding. Keep your foot on the gas. But somehow they got within 2 at halftime. And they only scored 9 points in the second half. None in the second quarter. So you got to wonder, can the Eagles really win against these types of teams? Can they hold their composure when they gain these leads, or are they always going to have pressure on them? And I think we'll truly see that when they play the Rams or the Dolphins in week 5 or 7, even against the Cowboys. They're going to play the Chiefs, the Bills. Man, their schedule is rough. In the November 5th, I believe this is, let's see. This is week 9. Week 9 through week 13. They're playing the Dolphins in Philadelphia, or I'm sorry, the Cowboys in Philadelphia, the Chiefs at Arrowhead in Kansas City, the Bills in Philadelphia, the 49ers in Philadelphia, and the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium. That is going to be the stretch of games where we get to see the Eagles' true colors. Can they win 4 out of the 5? Can they win all of them? If they win 3 or 2 out of the 5, then that's really gonna I don't think they're the first seed. Then it's up to the Cowboys or the Niners. I don't think they win the NFC East at that point. That's when, like I said, we're gonna see their true colors. Gonna show us if they really are capable of making it back to the Super Bowl, in which personally I really thought they were gonna win, but I mean, you got Mahomes. You don't bet against Mahomes. Even as a Niners fan. Like I had a feeling when they played last year. We had Christian McCaffrey, but we limited him. I feel like if we didn't, we had a better shot, but I still think we were gonna lose. But that's last season. Let's focus on this season. As for the AFC now, I think the Dolphins are the only lock in the AFC so far. They won 2 tough battles: the Chargers in LA, where they won by 2, and when they played the Patriots in Foxborough this last week. They won by 7. Patriots gave them a fight, but they won. Now that's different than the Eagles, right? Because the Eagles are coming off of a Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl, but obviously now you have that expectation. Dolphins, they didn't make the Super Bowl. So those games, winning that close are different. You got to look at it different. And I think that, the Dolphins showed us who they are. I think it's safe to say that they will win the AFC East, after Aaron Rodgers going down in week 1. I think now the Dolphins are the team to beat in the AFC East. And why I don't think the Bills and Chiefs aren't locks so far, they haven't truly proved themselves. The Chiefs almost lost to the Jaguars, and they barely lost to the Lions. Okay, I get the Lions are. I really like the Lions. I think they're gonna make the wild card this year, possibly even win the NFC North. But it's the Lions, and you're the Chiefs. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, they didn't have Travis Kelce. Oh, Kadarius Toney. You're the Chiefs. You have Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid is calling the plays. You know how to win. You get it done. And for the Bills? Oh, and then Chris Jones was out too. Still. Come on. And for the Bills, okay, they had that great win against the Raiders, but they couldn't hold up to the Jets defense, and I'm honestly really scared for them when they play them again. But in Buffalo, it's Josh Allen couldn't get it done. He threw 3 or 4 interceptions that game and only 1 touchdown. It's that Jets defense is something to watch out for. if the Bills can get it done, you know, who are they playing? They're playing the Dolphins in 2 weeks or in a week. Sorry. If they can, Josh Allen can, prove his worth in that game, then yeah, I think it's safe to say that they are contenders. And if we go back to the Chiefs, I think we will see if they are contenders when they play the Eagles. Honestly, because they're playing the Bears this Sunday in Arrowhead. Then they play the Jets. I think that's going to be an easy win. They play the Vikings in Minnesota. That's easy. The Broncos, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Dolphins. The Dolphins might be a battle. The Chargers might be a tough battle. But I think that Eagles game in, what is it? In week 10 is going to solidify their chances. Um, the Patriots could be a dark horse. Like I said, they fought pretty hard and almost came back and won against the Eagles. They almost beat the Dolphins. They're playing the Jets this Sunday, and they're notorious for owning the Jets, but we'll see. Because, like I said, that defense is nice. Patriots do have Ezekiel Elliott, though, so we shall see. Um, and they play the Cowboys the week after. Honestly, the Patriots have a pretty easy schedule compared to most. Um, at least for the next um, few weeks, they have the Jets, the Cowboys, but they have the Saints, the Raiders. They'll play the Commanders, the Colts, the Giants, the Steelers, the Broncos. Those are teams that they can win against. But they do have their tough opponents are really tough. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Chargers might be tough. Cowboys, Char the Jets could give them trouble, but I don't think they will. You know, don't be surprised if the Patriots make a wild card. Um, and that's gonna be it for the, you know, topics at hand. But last week, I forgot to mention exactly who I thought was gonna win their respective divisions and possibly make the playoffs. Other teams that might make the wild card. And I also wanted to give my picks for the week. Obviously, I can't give my pick for Thursday Night Football, but I think we all knew who I was going to pick. Um, so I'll get started with the my picks for who might make the Super Bowl, or not Super Bowl, the playoffs. So let's start in the AFC. AFC, I think AFC East. I think it's the Dolphins. After I know it's only 2 weeks, and I'll probably revisit these and change them within a few weeks, maybe mid-season at the trade deadline. We'll see. But these are, my early predictions. I think the Dolphins are the team to beat in the AFC East. The Bills, I think, are going to have trouble against the Dolphins. The Jets and Patriots can't beat either of those two teams. But the Dolphins have the edge. Tua's healthy, Tyreek's healthy. You got Jalen Waddle. As for the AFC West, it's the Chiefs. I would really like the Chargers to win. I think the Chargers will make a wild card this year. I think they are. They're a great team. They're a great young team, but they just can't seem to win because they're in such a weird division. The Chiefs obviously are the Chiefs, but then they lose to the Raiders, who, they light a spark, or the Broncos will light a spark, and they just can't keep up. But I think this year is their year to, make the wild card and possibly make a run for at least the ALDS, the divisional, make it out of the wild card. So I think the Dolphins are going to win the AFC East. The Bills are going to be a wild card. You got the Chiefs. The Chargers are a wild card. Oh, and I think the Chiefs are going to be the number one seed in the AFC. I know I said that they're not possibly contenders yet. Um, but it's hard not to bet against them. But as of right now, I think it's not a lock. But these are just predictions. I know I'm kind of going back on what I said, but it's just they haven't shown what they used to be. But I mean, I still think they're going to be the number one seed. Maybe even the Dolphins. Honestly, the Dolphins could be number one, but we'll see. So Dolphins, Bills, Chiefs, Chargers. So there's four. AFC North. This one is hard. The Bengals are 0-2. Ravens are 2-0. Steelers and Browns are both 1-1. I still think the Bengals are going to win the AFC North. I don't think the Ravens are good enough to win that division yet. I think they're solid, but I think the Bengals are still a better team. Just because they're 0-2 doesn't mean they're bad, you know? Um, I mean, they're still, like I said, I mean, they're still good. So we got the Dolphins, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Chargers. We got the Bengals. I think the Ravens will make a wild card. So there's 6 teams now, and you got the AFC South. None of these teams are making a wild card, but obviously one will make it through. And that's going to be the Jaguars. I think it's easy to say. Texans are not good. Titans are falling apart. And, the Colts with Anthony Richardson, are kind of nice. But I don't think he can take him to the playoffs in his first season, his rookie season. Jaguars played great last season in the playoffs. They beat the Chargers. They came back and they won in stellar fashion. I think they are easily going to win the AFC South. So, if we look at it from a playoff bracket point of view, I think the Chiefs get the bye. The 2 seed will be the Dolphins playing against the 7 seeded Jaguars. The 4th seed will be the Bengals playing against the 5th seeded Ravens. And the 3rd seeded Bills will be playing up against the 6th seed Chargers. As for the NFC East, it's the Eagles. I think there's no debate, and the Cowboys will make a wild card. That division, I think, doesn't need to be, debated on a lot. The Commanders are nice; they're 2-0. The Giants are struggling, but the Commanders and Giants can't beat the Eagles or the Cowboys. So, Eagles are gonna be the number 1 seed in my opinion, and the Cowboys will be second in that division. NFC West, the 49ers are winning that division. And I think the Rams will be the wild card. it's going to be tough between them and the Seahawks. They're both really great teams, but I think the Rams just have that edge. You know, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford. They traded Cam Akers, which I'm not a fan of. I believe they have Gerald. No, Gerald Everett is Chargers. Excuse me on that. But their rookie Puka. Oh my gosh, that kid is nice. I know I'm a Niners fan and I love Ronnie Bell, but that Puka. I mean, offensive rookie of the year, maybe. We'll see. So 49ers are winning the NFC West, and the Rams are going to be a wild card. NFC North, the Lions. The Bears can't win that division. The Vikings are struggling. I don't think they're going to be good enough to even make the playoffs. Actually, yes, they are. Sorry. Um, the Packers aren't good enough to make the playoffs. They're in a rebuilding phase. You know, they lost Aaron Rodgers. Alan Lazard's gone. Aaron Jones just is battling injuries right now. I mean, all they really have is a run game. They lost to the Falcons. So that kind of tells you a lot. Jordan Love can't lead that team yet. Lions, great defense, solid offense, and an even better coach. Dan Campbell just he gives off that Lions energy, you know. He's got that he wants to win. Dan Campbell is the best thing that has happened to the Lions in the last like 10 years. Maybe like 7 or 6. Because, you know, Matthew Stafford was on that team. And he kind of flipped that team around. But still, Dan Campbell, man. He needs to be a candidate for Coach of the Year. I think he will be a candidate for Coach of the Year. If he can lead this team to the playoffs, I think he's a finalist for Coach of the Year. Will he win it? I don't know. Personally, I think he should. I thought Brian Dable should have won it last year, and he did. So, NFC South. Panthers aren't winning that division. I don't think the Falcons are either. I think the Falcons are nice right now, but I think they're going to get humbled really quick. I think it's between the Saints and the Buccaneers. And honestly, I think the Buccaneers are going to pull it out with Baker Mayfield. They just have better weapons. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, you know, their defense is solid. The Saints, you know, they got Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Derek Carr, Jamal Williams, Alvin Kamara, but I don't trust their defense. Actually, no, I do. I don't trust the Bucks defense. I'm sorry, I'm getting myself confused. That one's a toss-up. I think the Bucks offense outpowers the Saints defense, and the Saints offense is gonna, you know, not struggle against the Buccaneers defense. I just think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. So I think the Buccaneers will win the NFC South. But honestly, it could be the Saints. Okay, so if we're looking at it from a bracket standpoint, Cowboys are the number 1 seed. 49ers will be the 2nd seed, playing against the 7th-seeded Lions. The 3rd seed, or the 4th-seeded Rams will be going up against the 5th seed. Actually, no, hold on, because I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only have 6. Oh, I said the Vikings. Okay. Actually, I think the Seahawks have a better chance, or maybe even the Saints. Yeah, Saints and the Bucks will come out of that division. Okay, so we got the Eagles getting the bye week. The 49ers will be the second seed, playing up against the seventh seeded Lions. The fourth seeded Rams will play up against the fifth seed Buccaneers, and the third seeded Cowboys will play the sixth seeded Saints. Those are my predictions for the playoffs so far. Like I said, we will revisit these later on in the season, probably mid-season, and we'll check back on them again. Maybe we'll check back on them once or twice. We'll check on them maybe around mid-season, around the trade deadline, and then we'll check in again a couple weeks before the playoffs, just to see how well we did. And now, before we end this episode of the podcast, I will make my picks for the week. We're going to go through this kind of quick because I think I can rant on about every game. Um, and I know you guys don't want to hear like another possibly, hour of all that. I want to keep these episodes around an hour. But maybe if I have a guest on, they can go over. I already have. Speaking of guests, I already have a couple of ideas on who I would like to have as a guest on the podcast for an episode, maybe even more in the future. I haven't contacted them yet or told them, but I probably will soon. One of them, I might. Um, they honestly, if they listen to this right now, they might know who they are. I won't say their names, but I have ideas. Um, but like I said, I have ideas on possibly, having guests come on and we can have debates, first take style, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, the prime of first take, not whatever they got going on now at that uh studio, because they are in like a broadcast studio. Um, they're doing good still, but I don't know about that move with Max Kellerman. All right, on to our picks. So obviously the 49ers beat the Giants. Um, I honestly I think I'm gonna keep track. Should I keep track of my picks for the season? I think we will. I'm gonna put them down in a Google Doc as I read them off. Here, let's see. NFL Weekly Predictions. I'll also put my playoff predictions in here too. I'm not gonna for those divisional and playoff predictions. I'm not gonna say, or I didn't say their records because I don't know. Because personally, I think the Niners could only lose one game this season, and that's against the Eagles. But I mean, who knows? The Cowboys could surprise them and beat them. They could lose against the Rams. They could lose against the Seahawks. We'll see. It's so hard to predict a record. It's easier to predict who will make it to the playoffs. At least for me, anyways. All right, so week 3. Lions versus Falcons. Lions. Um, Chargers versus Vikings. I got the Chargers. Saints versus Packers. Saints. Texans versus Jaguars. I got the Jags. Broncos Dolphins. I got the Dolphins. Titans versus Browns. Browns. Bills versus Commanders. Bills are going to easily win that game. Matt Rivera is still the head coach of the Commanders, right? Oh, sorry, I said Matt Rivera. Ron Rivera. What am I talking about? Yes, he's still the coach. Okay. Where did I get Matt Rivera from? I'm sorry. Colts and Ravens. The Ravens. Patriots, Jets. I think the Patriots are gonna be able to win that game. Panthers, Seahawks. Seahawks. Chiefs, Bears. Is it even a question? Chiefs. Cowboys, Cardinals. Same thing there. Is it even a question? Steelers, Raiders. Sunday night. We've been having a lot of Monday night doubleheaders. Back to back weeks, we're gonna have Monday night doubleheaders. That's actually pretty cool. Um, I like that. Um, Steelers, Raiders. I think the Steelers. I think the Steelers are gonna win that game. Eagles, Bucks. Eagles. And the Rams versus the Bengals. I think that's when the Bengals are gonna finally win their first game. So to run back through them, got Lions, Chargers, Saints, Jaguars, Dolphins, Browns, Bills, Ravens, Patriots, Seahawks, Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles, Bengals. And I'm going to throw the 49ers on there as well because that's who I would have chosen. Yeah, those are my predictions for the week, or my picks for the week, and we'll be doing this every episode. Well, I said last week I was going to do these episodes sporadically, but I think there's just so much news in the NFL that I didn't really know until I started doing this podcast that it's worth doing these episodes every week, at least for the NFL. If there isn't a lot of interesting news, I might not do an episode that week, but I think I will. I'll try to come up with something. But when the NBA starts and the NFL season ends, um, I think episodes are going to be more sporadic then because NBA. I mean, do one every week for the NBA is going to be a little much. There's too many things to talk about, but that one will probably be every other week, if not once or twice. Like it'll be once or twice a month for the NBA, maybe three times, 1 to 3 times a month for the NBA when the NFL is over. But with all that being said, that was our last topic for the episode: the picks and the predictions. Um, but yeah, like I said, when the NFL ends and the MLB season picks back up, in February, spring training and all that, I'll probably cover a little bit of the MLB and the NBA. I'll cover. I'll focus on more. Um, and episodes will be more sporadic from that point on. And then when the NFL starts up again, we'll probably do a more week by week basis. Um, and when college basketball, uh, when March Madness starts, we'll also cover a lot of that. College football playoffs, but that's still a long ways away, and we'll get there when we get there. If you guys do have any questions or feedback, feel free to answer the Q&A if you're listening on Spotify. I believe it's only on the app. Could be on browser as well, but I'm not too sure, but I know for sure it's on the app. Or if you're listening on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below, and I'll look at all of them. Um, and I'll read all the feedback and try to implement it in the following episode. And if there's any questions, I'll be sure to answer them either directly or on the episode itself. And if there's a topic you would like me to cover, feel free to let me know in the Q&A or the comments, respectively. And as I mentioned before, if you would like to be updated when a new episode will be uploaded, you can follow my Twitter or Twitch at SepticKid24. SEPTICKIDD 24. Or you can also join my Discord server through either Twitter or Twitch. Thank you all so much for listening to the second episode of Beyond the Sideline. Hope to see you again next week.